I'm rocking my Eat the W shirt this morning because hopefully that's what goes down as the Saints look to bounce back at home when they take on divisional matchup the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this Sunday. It won't just be any game, though, as Derek Carr looks more doubtful as the hours go by with his shoulder injury. It's also looking more like that Jameis Winston will lead the charge for the black and gold this Sunday, live from the Superdome. Plus, Alvin Kamara is back. But will that offensive line do their job in order to protect Jameis, to protect Alvin Kamara, and to provide opportunities for that offense to put up more than 20 points? Because they're going to have to if they want even a shot to beat the Bucs. But I got faith they're going to do it. All this and more on today's episode of Grunt Talk Saints.
These little demons living underneath my bed creeping. Know the real, my lives above them all sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
Everybody up. Hey, let me let y'all into one little secret. It's a secret out here. And you can take this to your family, you can take it to the bank. Gratitude is the key to abundance. Gratitude is the key to abundance. We're grateful for this opportunity. We're grateful for this day. We're grateful to come together and finish this preseason strong and want the best. So turn up for your family. Turn up for your last name. And turn up and give everything you got. Because everything matters. Here we go. Saints on 3. 1, 2, 3, Saints.
So I've had, a few days to calm down from the tough loss to the Packers, and I'm feeling more optimistic, right? Offensive line looks like trash, but Alvin Kamara is very clearly missing from this lineup. I know Jameis Winston's coming in. There's a huge question mark, but I'm also looking at the motivation factor for Jameis. Jameis Winston is suiting up to go to war this Sunday. It's not a game for Jameis. This isn't an opportunity for him to just prove he can be a starter in the league. This is more than just trying to, bring the Saints to a 3-1 record. This is more than trying to bring the Saints to number 1 in the division. It's more than trying to prove himself to the fans, to the league, to the coaches. It's more than trying to prove it to himself. This Sunday, Jameis is going to come into the dome thirsty for blood. 2 years ago, Jameis exits early. Look, 5-2 is how the Saints started just a couple seasons ago before Jameis went down courtesy of Devin White with an ACL tear, putting him out for the year. Season after that, here comes Jameis again against the Bucs. This time he's going in with multiple spine fractures. Throws multiple ducks. Devin White continues to just kind of drag him and embarrass him in the post games. So you're going to sit here and tell me that Jameis isn't obsessing over this game this Sunday? I want Derek Carr to get healthy. I don't want him to play this Sunday. I want Derek Carr as our quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Let him heal up. Give the sword to Jameis, and let's see what he does with it, baby. Because if there's a game for him to truly spotlight himself, for him to truly light the field on fire, for him to truly unify that Superdome, right? Because that's what needs to happen this weekend. Because it's not about the starting quarterback. Because everybody from every angle, doesn't matter what side you are on, doesn't matter what side of the fence you reside on, when it comes to Jameis Winston, he's going to likely be the quarterback this weekend. And if you don't like him, you should still want Derek Carr to rest so that way he can be fully healthy the rest of the year. So maybe, even if it just happens this once, let it be this Sunday. Let Jameis light the Superdome on fire. Let him come through and show out for New Orleans, for that black and gold, and for his last name. That's what I want to see. And then you add Alvin Kamara back into the mix. Olave, Michael Thomas. I did it. Look, that offensive line has to continue, right? Or has to get better. I shouldn't say continue, right? They should continue doing the exact opposite of what they're doing. Don't count out Jameis. When it comes to the quarterback position this weekend, I think we're good. Will I be wrong? I don't know. But I got faith in Jameis to get this job done. Adam Sandler said it best. Obsession beats talent every single time. And I think this weekend, Jameis Winston is going to be obsessed. And that's where the true edge is going to come in for the New Orleans Saints. They may be the 1-point underdogs in Vegas. But when it comes to the mental factor, when it comes to the mindset, the motivation, the headspace that I firmly believe these New Orleans Saints are going to step into the Superdome charged with, in comparison to where I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be at mentally, I don't think that mental state's going to be close. I think the Saints are going to come in with a full head of steam. They're going to step on the gas early, and that's going to be the difference maker. Outside of Derek Carr, some other notable injuries is, of course, Cesar Ruiz, guard for the Saints. Just got that bag, I know, but he is coming in. He's still in concussion protocol right after he exited the game early against Green Bay. It's going to be really tough. That offensive line's already struggling, so, every starter we can't have suit up is going to be a huge hit. Hopefully, Cesar Ruiz can suit up. I think over the last year and a half, he's earned his contract. He's shown a lot of improvement. So hopefully he's ready to go. Other notable injuries, of course, Paulson Adebo, corner. He's coming in with that hamstring injury. Wasn't able to go this past weekend against the Green Bay Packers. So would love to see him back. Alontae Taylor held it down. He had 5 tackles and his first career sack last week. So I think Alontae Taylor and Lattimore can absolutely hold it down. But the way that Mike Evans has been exploding and vibing with Baker Mayfield, they've been lighting up the field, right? So the more secondary help we have back there, also the better. And then, of course, back on the offensive side of the ball, Foss Moreau is also doubtful as he may miss his second week in a row due to his ankle injury. Now, look, I think we need all the large 50-50 targets we can for Jameis Winston in the end zone. But as long as we got Juwan Johnson, and as long as Taysom Hill lives inside Todd Bowles' head, especially up inside the red zone, and if Dennis Allen can pull another defensive show out of his head, or out of his ass, excuse me, we'll be all right. Head, ass, honestly, sometimes I wonder if DA even knows the difference. But that's a different conversation. And then on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers side, they also have about 7 injuries themselves, including names like Devin White, who I would love to see Jameis Winston serve some cold revenge to. But of course, maybe he's a little scared. Devin White has not suited up at all for practice this week. He's also missed all walkthroughs. I believe he's battling a hamstring injury, I think is what it is, right? Foot injury, excuse me. And then you have Vita Vea battling the pectoral injury. He has not practiced this week. Elijah Cansey, rookie defensive tackle out of Pitt. He has that calf injury. He hasn't suited up so far this week. Jamel Dean, right? So there's a lot of key pieces, especially for that Buccaneers defense, that may be missing. And that's going to provide an advantage, another advantage for Jameis Winston and that whole wide receiver core. Because if they can get some deep bombs to go early, outstanding. But that's going to bring us to the next part. And this is a huge question mark. And it's the number one question mark I've had for this specific part, all right, of the New Orleans Saints team, all right, I'm calling for. And that's Pete Carmichael and the play calling. I've been making defenses like I've been defending Pete Carmichael all season so far. I ripped him a new one all last year. The year before that. Like, I've been calling for Pete Carmichael's job for a long time, right? But this year, I'm actually defending him. As I've said it every week, I think every episode, I don't blame him for coming out in these vanilla play schemes because, look, if the offensive line can't protect the simple inside zone or, something like that, if they can't protect a simple play action post play, you start introducing some complex formations, they're definitely not going to get the quarterback protection, right? But this week, I think, look, we got Jameis in there. I think you got to trust him. I don't think Jameis is the kind of guy you have to have a leash on, or that you should have a leash on, excuse me. I know Sean Payton did. They went 5-2 before the injury. I understand Sean Payton had a leash on him as well. But for this particular game, going in against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think you just let them sling it. And if we drop one and go 2-2, cool. But I think the Saints' best bet is to sling it. Because I promise you, if we go in this Sunday and we're sitting here using Alvin Kamara up the gut, if we continue to misuse Alvin Kamara for a 3rd year in a row, and then I'm going to go straight back to calling for Pete Carmichael. Because I've been defending him, like I said, 3 weeks now. 3 weeks now. And it's like vinegar out my mouth every time I try to defend PC. I'm not doing it no more. This weekend's going to expose. We got AK back. That does not mean you send him up the gut every single time. You get Alvin Kamara some space with some green field ahead of him, and you let him work. You get Alvin Kamara the ball in open space, and you let him work. You got Tony Jones Jr. in there. You have Kendre Miller, who came in leading the charge in yards per rush this past game. You got the tools to run it up the middle, all right? Let's use Alvin Kamara for his strengths, because we are not going to beat the Buccaneers running the ball and kicking field goals. It's just not going to happen. I understand the Saints have beaten the Buccaneers, which is field goals. It's not going to happen this week. The Saints are going to have to put up 20+. Jameis and that offense are going to have to pull it together and put out 20+. I promise. I said it last week, and we lost. We scored 17. Same thing this week. And then just to further provide you some more context, to just let you know how big this game is mentally for each team when it comes to momentum, right? 7 of the last 10 games between these two, right? The Saints hold those victories, right? 7 out of 10. The Saints have beaten the Bucs 7 of the last 10 matchups. But the Bucs did sweep the Saints last year during the regular season, but the Saints swept the Bucs the year before that. So 2 teams that are going not so much back and forth the last 10 years, all right? Not so much all time. I think it's like 39-24 is what the Saints' record is against the Tampa Bay Bucs. But at least the last 2 seasons, it's been going back and forth. And a lot of it is due to that dominant Saints defense, right? Dennis Allen has called some pretty phenomenal defensive games against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the last couple years. But this weekend, I'm looking at the run game. Once again, you can't look past the fact that the Tampa Bay Bucs gave up over 200 yards on the ground against the Eagles this past Monday night. I understand DeAndre Swift is back playing for his hometown, the Philadelphia Eagles. He's a candidate to lead the league in rushing yards for sure, right? I like DeAndre Swift. Huge fan. He's doing great work. But 200 yards is 200 yards. Vita Vea might be out. Devin White might be out. And I feel like the Saints offensive, like Pete Carmichael's, like, he might be foaming from the mouth thinking about the run game, having Alvin Kamara back. But it goes back to the original point. Just because on paper there is a lot, all the directions point to it, the Saints should be able to run the ball this week, right? You can do that without having to send Alvin Kamara up the gut. I wouldn't be mad if Alvin Kamara had 10 carries or less, as long as it was the right 10 carries or less, and as long as he had some receptions to go along with it. I want to see Kendrick get some reps up the gut if he's averaging 3.8 yards a carry. If Taysom Hill checks in early and after the first half he has 5 rushes at 5.5 yards, I want to see Taysom Hill up the gut, especially in the red zone. With Alvin Kamara coming back, we just don't want to see them go back in their old ways of misusing Kamara as they have recently. You got running backs. You have an opportunity to run the ball down their throat. You just got to do it the right way. You don't got to do it a lot. You just got to do it right.
What I'm trying to say to you is, don't overthink this shit.
One of the key matchups I'll be looking at, right, of course, there's the main event, which we're going to get to. I'm sure we can all predict exactly what matchup I'm talking about. It's a father and a son.
To heat it up. Flags everywhere. Boy, oh boy, what a mess. Wow.
But before I get to that main event, it's going to be Ryan Ramczyk is going to be taking on edge rusher Joe Tyron Shoyinka, who had 7 pressures and a sack last year for the Bucs. Look, he's young, he's tenacious, and he's coming in against Ryan Ramczyk, right? Ryan Ramczyk's a multiple-time Pro Bowler, but he looked like a rookie last week against edge rusher Rashawn Gary. Gary's quick, man. He's no slouch. He's a very, very fast speed rusher. But, man, he ate Ramczyk's lunch. It was really, really bad. I don't even think Trevor Penning was the worst person in line last week. I said in the episode I said in the reaction video to the Packers loss, right? Ramczyk looked really rough. And I don't care who he's going up against. Right? You know, Shoyinka, or it can be Shaq Bear. Aaron Donald. I don't care who Ramczyk's battling this week. I need to see something out of him. So Ramczyk versus Shoyinka, that is going to be a matchup I'll be having my eyes on all game long. And outside of that, it's going to be, look, the 2 top performers, I think, in the NFC South so far. I don't think anybody else is coming close. Marshall Lattimore for the Saints, Mike Evans for the Bucs. Can you name a receiver that's performing more than Mike Evans for the Bucs for now in the division? Chris Olave's up there. Besides him, no, Mike Evans on a pedestal. What about corners across the division? Who's performing like Marshall Lattimore? Who in the league, besides maybe A.J. Terrell, I should say, because he's with the Falcons, right? A.J. Terrell's up there. But when it comes to Lattimore, is that a bad argument? Am I wrong to say that Mike Evans and Marshall Lattimore might be the 2 best players in the division? At least right now, they might be the hottest players in the division. And they're going to be facing off this Sunday. That's going to be something I'm willing to watch. I'm going to be looking to watch all game long. You already know the passion that resides, right, with each of these dudes. You can play whoever you want for the rivalry, but you can't deny the fact that a rivalry exists between Mike Evans and his father, Marshall Lattimore. We'll see some father-son bonding time, I think, though, this weekend. Well, Lattimore puts a stop to Mike Evans' production.
Happy Father's Day.
It's easy to call every game must win. But when it's early like this, you have to kind of look at the full schedule. But this is one I think is truly going to be a momentum shifter. I don't think it's necessarily must win for either team, but I think it is going to be a game where you're going to see a lot of effort on the field, especially in terms of offensive star power, right? And that's why I am taking the Saints conquering the Bucs at home this weekend, 28-23. But my number one pick, right, for this game is going to be the over. Currently at 40.5 points for the Sunday afternoon matchup, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time between the Bucs and the Saints. I'm taking that over, 40.5. I think this could be a 48-plus point scoring affair. They're coming out balling, both teams trying to prove themselves, not just as a competitor for the division, not just as a competitor for the conference, but to show they have what it takes, that they have the names, the talent, the coaching, the ability to not just make it to the postseason, but to represent the NFC South well in the postseason. And I think we're going to see that very much on display. People are saying it's going to be a defensive game. That's all I keep seeing on these rumor boards, and everybody's talking about this is going to be a very defensive game. Like I said, it's at 40.5 points is the total right now for the over/under. I'll look at these injuries. I'll look at Mike Evans. I'll look at Lattimore. I'll look at Olave, Michael Thomas. I think they're going to be going tit for tat. It's going to come down to whoever can make that key defensive stop late in the game. Well, for now, I'm your boy Grunt. Stay safe, be kind to one another, and as always, who dat, we dat, believe that. Now let's go beat them Bucs. Set the table for the momentum heading into the first half of this 2023 season. Let's see Alvin Kamara come back for revenge. Let's see Jameis Winston electrify the Superdome. And let's march into Tuesday morning with the Saints at top of the NFC South with a 3-1 record, with their full focus on dominating the rest of the year. I got faith it'll happen, but look, we'll find out. Catch you back here after the game Sunday, exclusively here on YouTube for an interactive post-game reaction immediately following the game on Sunday afternoon. Appreciate y'all. Hit the like, hit the sub, and let's keep building.